However, Yoon Jae-young had only just met Count Brocken. Count Brocken, with a look of disdain, said, "Did Baroness Mikhail send you to find me, and you brought her letter of recommendation as well?" Dex replied, "Yes. She said that coming to you would ensure personal protection." There was a ripping sound, and the letter was torn in half before being opened. Yoon Jae-young could hardly believe it. Count Brocken, enjoying Yoon Jae-young's anger, asked, "What does Baroness Mikhail want you to do by finding me?" Yoon Jae-young responded with a smirk, "Are you asking me directly for the reason? Shouldn't someone in a high position be the one to think about the reasons? I'm just an adventurer, I wouldn't know." The friction between their words sparked a dazzling display. Count Brocken burst into a deafening laughter. "I like your style, kid. No need to say it. I already know she sent you here because she thinks you're talented enough to prevent a war between the two countries." Yoon Jae-young sarcastically said, "I don't think I'm capable of that." Count Brocken, reading between the lines, said, "Hearing about a war doesn't surprise you. It seems Baroness Mikhail trusts you a lot. She must have told you what's going on already. So, Dex, have you figured out how you want to stop the fight between the two countries?" After some thought, Yoon Jae-young offered two options, a simple method and a difficult method. Count Brocken decided to hear the simple one first. Yoon Jae-young chuckled. "Isn't it always said that Duke Beren is the main culprit? Why not capture the king to capture the criminals? Isn't that the simplest way?" Count Brocken almost burst out laughing. "You mean, kill Duke Beren?" Yoon Jae-young nodded. Count Brocken laughed heartily. "That's as good as saying nothing at all. You should know that his personal guards are all knights and mages of master rank or higher. If someone could assassinate him, I'd let them take over my title as count." Yoon Jae-young volunteered himself, pointing to himself. "I can definitely do it." Count Brocken was not looking down on Yoon Jae-young. "I think with your level 1 abilities, you might not even be able to touch the Duke's robe." However, Yoon Jae-young confidently smiled and said, "Please, do not judge by appearances, uncle." Such confidence, youth is indeed an advantage. Count Brocken invited Yoon Jae-young to come with him. "Since you are so confident, how about a sparring session with me? I trust Baroness Mikhail's judgment about you. So young man, please do not disappoint me." The desire to fight was blossoming in every cell of Count Brocken. Count Brocken muttered to himself, "I am a sword master, but even with my strength, I'm not sure I could carry out the assassination." Yoon Jae-young's response was just two words: divine descent. The wandering knight, Kafelis' divine descent, was successful. In an instant, the murderous intent emanating from Yoon Jae-young made Count Brocken shudder. Count Brocken was amazed at Yoon Jae-young's spirit. How is this possible? He was clearly just a kid who had never handled a sword before, and now his burst of spirit is like someone who has practiced swordsmanship their whole life. Yoon Jae-young's eyes were determined as he declared that he would end the fight in 5 minutes. Count Brocken felt a flutter of panic. A pop-up notification appeared. "You've activated Swift Steps. You've activated the will of a decisive battle. You've activated the Wind Sword. The spirit of Earth is protecting you." The sword blade, which seemed very light, felt as heavy as a small mountain when it struck Count Brocken's sword. Yoon Jae-young thought he could decide the fight with one move, but Count Brocken barely managed to block it. Just as Yoon Jae-young was preparing to dispel the divine descent skill, Count Brocken became more interested. "You really are no ordinary adventurer, kid." Yoon Jae-young cracked a smile. "Good to know you understand. Let's end the sparring here." In fact, Yoon Jae-young was concerned about his own plausibility. However, Count Brocken, finding a worthy opponent, was reluctant to stop. "Kid, even if you're strong, you should let me show off my own skills." In the blink of an eye, a red battle aura blade appeared on Count Brocken's sword, crackling with energy. Count Brocken, full of confidence, declared, "Although I haven't been a sword master for long, I have undeniable pride in myself. The battle aura blade condensed on my sword is the source of my pride." Yoon Jae-young sighed. "It seems I have no choice but to bring him down." Count Brocken, determined to go all out, challenged, "Kid, take my strongest sword strike. I also want to know how strong your true sword intent is." A sword energy, like a wild beast, charged furiously towards Yoon Jae-young. Yoon Jae-young believed that true strength lies not in sharpness, but in the resolve like Count Brocken's, to risk everything. However, just as the sword was about to hit Yoon Jae-young, a battle aura blade, 100 times more terrifying than Count Brocken's, appeared out of nowhere. To Count Brocken's surprise, the state of the form sword is something only a level 150 sword master could master. Seeing the notification pop up, Yoon Jae-young's heart broke. Using high-level skills beyond his level required an additional payment of plausibility. Yoon Jae-young, who values money as much as life, decided to end the fight quickly. Now possessing Kafelis' sword skills, he began to employ sword techniques he had used in 3D games. Although it appeared that Yoon Jae-young only swung his sword once, in reality, it was a combination of 100 swords, 100 sword energies overlaid at the same time. The unleashed power was unimaginable. Count Brocken felt as if his body was about to shatter under the sword's force, until Yoon Jae-young spotted a slight flaw. With the final sweep of a green sword light, Count Brocken felt the presence of death. If it weren't for Yoon Jae-young timely restraining his power, Count Brocken would have certainly paid with his life. He was very grateful to have not died. A pop-up notification appeared. "Divine Descent has ended. You have consumed a total of 2,812 plausibility points. You have gained the title Miracle Duel Fighter, with a 10-point increase increase in strength. Yoon Jae-young was furious. This is extortion. Absolute extortion. Michael popped in to explain. I think the power borrowed by the master far exceeds this price. But coming back to it, you managed to use this power so perfectly. Have you practiced swordsmanship before? Yoon Jae-young did not lie. Back when I played 3D games, I was the top knight on the server. Meanwhile, Count Brocken was still recovering from the shock. As a swordmaster, not being able to predict the sword trajectory of this level 1 newcomer might suggest that the young man had already surpassed the level of a swordmaster. Count Brocken knelt before Yoon Jae-young. May I ask, what is your pursuit in swordsmanship? After some thought, Yoon Jae-young answered, probably the wind, sharper and freer than anyone else. At that moment, Count Brocken felt a flash of insight. Seizing this feeling, he swung his sword. His aura became more subdued, and his sword movements felt much more relaxed than before. A casual remark from Yoon Jae-young inadvertently started the NPC's practice. Afterward, Count Brocken bowed 90 degrees to Yoon Jae-young as an apology. I was speaking arrogantly before. Please forgive this old relic. Yoon Jae-young was nonchalant. After all, who would expect a level 1 newbie to go assassinate a duke? Everyone would react the same way. Count Brocken, puzzled, asked, so, Mr. Dex, are you really going to assassinate Duke Beren? With your strength, I believe it would be easy, but his death would certainly cause royal turmoil. Yoon Jae-young gave an example. Have you ever heard of the Gordian knot? Do you know what the simplest way to untangle such a complex knot is? Count Brocken, only half understanding, couldn't answer. Yoon Jae-young said with a sneer, the simplest way is to cut it with a single stroke. As for what happens afterwards, there's always a way, right? Yoon Jae-young's words led Count Brocken to another realization. Although this approach might seem irresponsible, given the tangled internal and external issues of the Maroon Kingdom, perhaps this is indeed the most direct solution. At that moment, Count Brocken understood the terrifying aspect of the young man before him. A top swordsman, he possessed such profound inner wisdom, and his emergence would surely shake the entire continent. A pop-up notification appeared. Submission Assassinate Duke Beren has been updated. Yoon Jae-young was embarrassed. This game system is really sensitive. At that moment, Satan appeared with a wicked grin. Master, where are you going to take care of this guy? Michael quickly intervened in opposition. Assassination is absolutely not acceptable. It should be a fair duel, announced 3 days in advance with a duel notice. That's the proper way. After hearing this, Yoon Jae-young was stunned. Actually, I don't want to go and kill Duke Beren right now. Satan and Michael, you must understand something. Duke Beren wouldn't start a war with a neighboring country without a reason. From my perspective, what do I care about the life or death of the Maroon Kingdom? What concerns me is, who can I cooperate with to maximize my benefits? Wars have always been a part of kingdoms. It's just a matter of which country provokes it first. In other words, it doesn't matter who starts the war. However, one thing is certain. During the most chaotic times of an intensified war, I can play multiple roles and gain more plausibility. Satan, puzzled, asked, why not just ally directly with that bastard Duke Beren? Yoon Jae-young grinned. Satan, you are still on the ground floor, while I'm in the stratosphere. Your understanding of war is a conflict between two kingdoms, while I see another type of war, the friction between internal powers within a kingdom. If I can successfully instigate 2 wars at the same time, the plausibility benefits I reap will be doubled. Satan felt a chill. You really are a madman, master. You should be the Devil King. Yet, Satan took out a notebook and recorded all the strategies Yoon Jae-young had just mentioned. Satan sighed. This guy really looks at the world solely for his own benefit. Bathed in sunlight, he is the most terrifying Devil King this world has ever seen. Because a piece of news this morning had deeply affected him, Agent Electronics had just broken through a stock price of $5,000, meaning someone had invested at least $1 trillion in Arcadia. Choi Jeju, the richest merchant guild leader in all of Arcadia, had personally come to the Duke's mansion to deliver a strategic report. Choi Jeju, full of confidence, said, Lord Duke, my GM merchantry has taken control of the NPC peasants who supplied the enemy with provisions last year, and we've locked in all their future grain production through futures contracts. So, Lord Duke, could you guarantee that when we go to war with our neighbors, GM merchantry will handle all the army's provisions? This would help you quickly empty the treasury and easily seize power. Duke Beren pointed at the ceiling. Don't you think it would be better to discuss this after I ascend the throne? Just as Choi Jeju was about to speak, the Duke's gaze turned sharp. Adventurer, are you doubting me? Negotiations are most feared when one doesn't hold any leverage. Having swallowed a bitter pill, Choi Jeju could only vent his frustration on the wall. To ensure a pleasant cooperation, he had to keep silent, because in these 3 days he spent 10 million gold coins to pre-purchase all the grain on the market. If converted into real money, that's $1 trillion US. If the plan fails, not only would the real world corporation go bankrupt, but my father would surely flay and gut me. If a real war breaks out between the two kingdoms, and the price of grain overnight increases tenfold, turning 1 trillion into 10 trillion isn't impossible. But just then, as Yoon Jae-young passed by Choi Jeju, it made Choi Jeju's heart skip a beat. Choi Jeju wanted to follow him, but was a step too late. I'm sure of it. This guy covered his newbie clothes with a cloak. He's definitely not an NPC, but a player like me. But how could he enter Duke Baren's mansion. Is he planning to interfere? Choi Jeju snapped his fingers, summoning 2 men in black robes. Keep an eye on this guy, and bring him to me as soon as he comes out. The main reason Yoon Jae-young could meet Duke Baren was because of the recommendation letter from Count Brocken. As soon as Yoon Jae-young spoke, he said, Count Brocken plans to assassinate you. Duke Baren immediately looked exasperated. Adventurer, do you think I would take your word for it? Yoon Jae-young smiled and said, I think, Duke, you already have a picture in your mind, and you don't really need me to prove it. Satan and Michael suddenly became anxious. Why would you lie about this? Satan had a moment of realization. Could it be that he did this on purpose? Yoon Jae-young said, Satan, you've already grasped it. Duke Baren knowingly asked, so, adventurer, why would you tell me this information? Yoon Jae-young immediately made his stance clear. I believe a wise and mature ruler is 100 times better than a wet behind-the-ears kid. The kingdom will only be more ideal under Duke's rule. Duke Baren couldn't stop smiling. Adventurer, what's your name? Yoon Jae-young immediately gave his game ID as Dex. Finally, the two shook hands amicably, and Duke Baren said, Dex, is it? It seems we will get along very well in the future. Well done. Yoon Jae-young successfully chose a side. At this point, Yoon Jae-young could be certain of Duke's eager ambition for power. It also indicated that Duke's determination to go to war with the neighboring country was real. Next, Yoon Jae-young needed to determine the source of the news report about a stock reaching 5,000. It wasn't until 2 men in black robes appeared that Yoon Jae-young clearly understood the identity of the trillion-dollar investor. Yes, it was the yellow-haired person he had just encountered at Duke's mansion. If he wasn't mistaken, this guy was the leader of GM Merchantry. Thus, with the appearance of the men in black robes, there was not a hint of fear on Yoon Jae-young's face. Yoon Jae-young taunted, I say, what took you so long? Choi Jeju looked at Yoon Jae-young and said, Kid, welcome to GM. Let's sit down and talk. Choi Jeju asked fiercely, what exactly did you talk about with Duke? Yoon Jae-young tentatively said, I don't see any reason why I should tell you. Seeing Choi Jeju so agitated, it was clear that he had significant interests with NPC Duke. Confirming this, Yoon Jae-young looked around and counted 7 black-robed guards. Yoon Jae-young thought, if I want to leave safely, I might have to use the Divine Descent skill. However, the vice leader of the Merchant Guild suddenly bowed to Yoon Jae-young. Actually, we just wanted to ask if you had received any missions from Duke Baren. Yoon Jae-young replied coolly, is that so? That young master's attitude didn't seem like he was just asking. Seeing Yoon Jae-young's stubborn denial, Choi Jeju slammed the table in fury. What exactly is your relationship with Duke? If you dare to interfere with our affairs, not just in this game, but in real life, your life will be filled with torment. The next second, the vice leader grabbed Choi Jeju by the collar. Calm down, young master. You're crossing the line. Then the vice leader bowed to Yoon Jae-young. My friend, our guild leader has invested so much in Duke Baren that we are very sensitive. Seeing such a crafty character, Yoon Jae-young couldn't help but marvel at the old man's cunning. After calming down, Choi Jeju tossed a sack of gold coins to Yoon Jae-young. So, mysterious adventurer sir, is this enough to persuade you? Hearing his identity was still unknown, Yoon Jae-young secretly rejoiced. Yoon Jae-young stated, in that case, all I need to do is give up the mission Duke gave me. Choi Jeju, seeing someone so easily swayed by money for the first time, thought, I should have known not to waste my breath on him. Over the course of the day, Yoon Jae-young confirmed 2 pieces of information. 1. Duke Baren aims to usurp power and control an entire kingdom. 2. He is linked with GM Group in the real world. The morning news was the result of GM Group's investment in the game. It was surprising that they were so committed, investing an amount nearly equal to their corporate valuation. Such tangled relationships must involve huge consequences. However, by simply killing Duke Baren, Yoon Jae-young could turn the situation upside down and gain a massive amount of plausibility. Just as Yoon Jae-young decided to assassinate Duke under cover of night, the Angel of Justice, Michael, was unwilling to lend the Divine Descent skill to Yoon Jae-young. Without Divine Descent, what could Yoon Jae-young use to assassinate the Duke? Any guard by his side could easily kill me. But Satan sensed the scent of plausibility. Master, don't bother with that winged one. Is it just power you need? I can lend you the power of the demon world. Yoon Jae-young was visibly shocked. Satan, could it be that you also? Satan revealed a sinister grin. I can perform Divine Descent too. With that, Satan eagerly generated a contract. In the next instant, a magic circle filled with demonic energy unfolded. Yoon Jae-young was curious to see what ancient demons Satan's Divine Descent could summon. A pop-up notification appeared. Your contract with the demon world is established. You can temporarily borrow the power of the demon world by consuming plausibility. Yoon Jae-young smirked devilishly. Satan, why didn't you tell me earlier that you could also perform Divine Descent? That would make my plans much more feasible. The next second, a pop-up window appeared for Yoon Jae-young to select a character for Divine Descent. It turned out that among the demons, there was not only a vampire, but also a dark mage. Yoon Jae-young was delighted. Lich our gamer, this guy is the pinnacle of necromancers. Legend has it that with just one spell, he destroyed an entire empire with a population of 10 million. With enough corpses, he essentially has an endlessly regenerating undead army. Destroying a country with a mere gesture wouldn't seem far-fetched, especially with a necromantic god god like Lich Gamer. However, what Yoon Jae-young was really looking forward to was the substantial game rewards he could get from assassinating the Duke. Thus, the two Guardian Knights at Duke's mansion became the first subjects of his experiment with necromancy. Divine Descent initiated, Lich Gamer fully empowered. Yoon Jae-young immediately checked his necromantic skills, and indeed, they were just as described in the novels. The Duke's guards had never felt such an ominous presence before. This kind of pressure could definitely make it into the history books of the kingdom. The next instant, an evil torrent materialized, summoning specters to claim lives. The knight did not hold back and immediately activated the highly consuming skill, Holy Shield. Yoon Jae-young quietly admired, worthy of being the first Duke's guard, and a paladin NPC at that. The underlying fear drove the Guardian Knight to exert his full strength, and his holy sword instantly completed the stacking of the Judgment Blade skill. A hint of disdain curled at the corner of Yoon Jae-young's mouth. The skill Ghost Spear was activated, and a creature from the abyss of hell suddenly appeared out of thin air. With a mere point of its finger, it could obliterate all light. The spear-pierced knight was horrified, for he felt the presence of a necromancer in the spear. Seeing this, the other knight fled in terror. A Lich. It's a Lich. We must inform the whole country immediately. The next second, the Ghost Spear also devoured his heart. Yoon Jae-young muttered to himself, after all, I can't reveal myself yet, and the power of a necromancer lies in the number of undead under their control. Now that I have the materials, it's time to have the two knights who just died stand up again. The skill Lost Fantasy stabilizes the soul energy within a corpse and then transforms it into an undead soldier, retaining its battle prowess from life. The level of the soldier is determined by the undead's strength and life. Unexpectedly, this knight reached the level of an intermediate undead death knight. As a necromancer, as long as there are enough corpses and mana, it equates to having the ability to manipulate an infinite number of undead. The existence of a necromancer is like having a huge army. Therefore, the necromancer class is particularly suited for siege warfare, just like now. Along the way, Yoon Jae-young assassinated dozens of soldiers in the Duke's mansion, and the number of undead continued to grow. When faced with an undead army, everyone's first reaction was to call for a squad of paladins. But upon recognizing the traits of the undead knights, they lost all hope. Aren't these guys the mansion's noble paladins? Soon, the few remaining guards in the mansion naturally became Yoon Jae-young's undead. Yoon Jae-young sneered, "Go, find out where Duke Beren is hiding for me. Duke, you better hide well if you want to survive." At this moment, the entire Duke's mansion was like hell, emanating a deadly stillness, except for the sleepy Duke Beren. It was too late when his subordinates came to report, as the mansion was already infested with liches. "My lord, we can only wait to die now." The imminent death turned Duke's face pale. In the next second, the evil aura of the undead seeped into Duke's bedroom. Yoon Jae-young finally found the mastermind behind it all. Killing him, the center of this situation, might really earn me a lot of plausibility. In the blink of an eye, 3 undead soldiers burst into Duke's room. Seeing their once familiar comrades, all turned into undead ready to revolt. And wasn't the largest among these undead knights his own trusted holy sword, Ledner? Then, a figure in a black robe appeared from behind the undead. "Duke Beren, we meet again." How could Duke Beren forget Yoon Jae-young, who just a few days ago was earnestly flattering him, and now came with the undead to claim his life? Duke Beren pleaded, "Adventurer, I can give you anything you want." But Yoon Jae-young's lips curled into a sinister smile. "What if I want your life? That's why I came here. You should be careful who you employ, Duke. Whether it's war or the throne, even if you're profiting from a national disaster, it's still okay. I don't care, but you shouldn't have employed someone who would displease me. Be more careful in your next life, though I'm not sure if NPCs have one." Amidst NPC Duke's cries for help, Yoon Jae-young commanded, "Then let the subordinates you once controlled send you to your death." The past flashed before Duke like a rapid slideshow. All efforts gone to waste. Like the snuffing of a lamp, life extinguished. A pop-up notification appeared. Duke Beren has died. As a result, the secret plan has deviated greatly, and 321 related quests in Arcadia have been removed. You have earned the title Noble Murderer. Congratulations on completing the submission, earning you 53,000 points of plausibility. Looking at the full screen of pop-ups, Yoon Jae-young suddenly realized, the bigger the chaos I create, the more plausibility I earn at settlement. The influx of plausibility made Satan and Michael's eyes sparkle. Yoon Jae-young asked, "By the way, Satan, there's no time limit on Lich Gamer's Divine Descent, right?" Satan answered, "Yes, Master, as long as you pay enough plausibility." Yoon Jae-young immediately flashed a wicked smile. "Satan, there are many more places I haven't destroyed yet." Afterward, Yoon Jae-young, with the 50,000 plausibility reward from killing the Duke and leading an army of undead, began a campaign of destruction across the domain. After several hours of devastation, Duke Beren's domain saw its production capacity reduced by 85% and its military capability by 98%, with all NPC residents fleeing. At that moment, the flag representing the Duke's kingdom was burned to ashes by Yoon Jae-young. Thus, Duke Beren's domain was completely destroyed. A pop-up notification appeared. "You have earned the title Vicious Necromancer. Duke Beren's secret plan has thus been thwarted. Congratulations on earning 14,000 points of plausibility. Looking over the domain now covered by an undead army, Yoon Jae-young regretted not choosing necromancer as his profession. With enough mana, animating hundreds or thousands of undead soldiers would be effortless, but seeing corpses every day is also a torment. After this battle, Yoon Jae-young earned 60,000 plausibility, but he wasn't sure how much he would need to pay for this divine descent. After all, it was borrowed power, and the plausibility consumed might be more than what he earned. Yoon Jae-young asked, "So Satan, how much plausibility have I actually used up on your account?" The next second, Satan whipped out a calculator and started meticulously calculating the plausibility spent. After a while, Satan said, "All in all, Master, you have to pay me 42,284 points of plausibility." Yoon Jae-young exclaimed, "Satan, do I look like a sucker? Give me a discount." Satan, visibly annoyed, retorted, "Master, you're bargaining with me? If you use the power, you have to pay the plausibility, right?" Yoon Jae-young, acting as if it wasn't his problem, said, "But I'm a VIP, aren't I? You should at least give me some coupons." Satan, frustrated, exclaimed, "Do you think I'm a department store?" Yoon Jae-young then threatened, "If you don't give me a discount, I'll only deal with Michael from now on." Michael immediately looked hopeful. "Is that true, Master?" Satan panicked and rounded down the amount. "Fine, 40,000 will do." Yoon Jae-young cut off another 5,000. "Satan, I think 35,000 is enough." At that moment, Satan was sweating profusely. 36,500, and I can't go any lower, otherwise I won't help you with divine descent anymore. Yoon Jae-young eagerly shook Satan's hand. "It's a deal then." A pop-up notification appeared. "Necromancer divine descent has ended. You have consumed 36,500 plausibility. Achievement unlocked. Rip off the Demon King, first human." Negotiation skill significantly increased, gaining the upper hand when negotiating with players and NPCs. Negotiation skill upgraded to level 7. Yoon Jae-young was bewildered. Could it be because Satan is the Devil King that I received such a reward? At that moment, Satan put on a mask of agony. "This way, I won't earn any plausibility at all." Yoon Jae-young took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. "All in all, Duke's domain is chaotic enough. Since I've dealt with the obstacles in the game, it's time to deal with the ones in the real world. Satan, Michael, wait for me in the game. I'll be right back. After all, I need to wrap this up myself. You'll know what it's about in a moment." After Yoon Jae-young logged out of Arcadia, he immediately opened the chaotic official game website. Images of Beren Duke's domain had already made the hot search. The internet was filled with criticism of the game's planners. Next, Yoon Jae-young prepared another explosive expose to push this event to its climax, and it was time for GM Group to learn their lesson. Yoon Jae-young exported the videos recorded by Satan and Michael, and he was just one edit away from bringing down GM Group. The video essentially revealed that Choi Jeju had colluded with Duke Beren in advance, one to wage war and the other to hoard supplies, planning to profit from the national crisis together. $1 trillion in costs to make $10 trillion in profits, all facilitated by players who just knew how to play the game. After finishing the editing, the next step was to post it to his Destroyer's Daily Logs account. The next morning, the video broke 1 million views, and players in the comments immediately directed their anger at GM Group. At that moment, Choi Jeju, on the other side of the computer, was sweating profusely with dilated pupils. Choi Jeju roared in anger. "How could our conversation have been leaked? There's no way it could have been overheard in that situation. I'll tear him to pieces at all costs." Just then, Choi's steward reminded him, "Young master, the important thing now is not to catch the criminal, but that the chairman is called." Choi Jeju was in a panic. It's over, my father knows about this." Meanwhile, the news broadcast revealed the criminal activities of GM Group on television. Currently, Arcadia's official stance was made clear, stating they had evidence of GM Group's massive investments. Shockingly, the investment amount was as high as $1 trillion. In the office of Arcadia's minister, CEO Lee Mayan commented, "This is a good opportunity for GM Group to serve as a negative example to other envious conglomerates." However, what Lee Mayan was most interested in was the player behind all this manipulation. This video user named Destroyer's Daily Logs first captured footage of the Slime Siege battle until the destruction of the Newb village. Then, he tricked players into becoming Iron Mine slaves. Players were also severely exploited by NPCs in the game. Now, with the Duke Beren incident, he has stirred up major controversies in both worlds. Is he trying to tell us that the game's plot is too dull? At this moment, the mysterious player Lee Mayan spoke of was actually dozing off in class. Yoon Jae-young's actions, in a sense, changed players' understanding of the game Arcadia. To his classmates, the incidents in Arcadia not only made frequent news headlines, but the NPCs inside seemed to possess independent consciousness, almost like a second reality. Of course, Choi Jeju's fate was clear. Becoming the public enemy of all players was unavoidable. Yoon Jae-young also successfully taught him a lesson. However, at that moment, the classroom instructor suddenly announced that starting today, the computer engineering department would officially be renamed the Virtual Reality Engineering College. The current computer industry could no longer keep up with the world's trends, and he believed everyone present had already experienced the game Arcadia. If we can't keep up with the world's transformations, all that awaits us is obsolescence. lessons. Next, your senior will teach the class, who is currently working inside Arcadia's virtual game. The instructor Kong Kil-jun introduced himself. Hello everyone, I'm Kong Kil-jun. As you know, direct brain-to-machine communication is key to the materialization of virtual games. So next, I will test each student's synchronization rate between their brain and the game. The higher the value obtained from the test, the stronger your talents in virtual games will be. And the rate of electrical signal exchange between the brain and the machine is known as the game synchronization rate. The highest known game synchronization rate is 26%. However, a top student who tested a synchronization rate of 21% felt like he had reached the pinnacle of his life. He pointed at Yoon Jae-young, the underachiever, and taunted, "I'm really looking forward to seeing you embarrass yourself." But Yoon Jae-young just laughed at the comment, quickly lay in the testing pod, eager to see the top student get humiliated. The next instant, the test began, and the value jumped from 3% to 15% suddenly, but it didn't stop there. 20%, 30%, 45%, Yoon Jae-young's value soared to 55% in one breath. As a result, the energy released by the machine was dazzling, and the assistant hurriedly asked the teacher to stop the test. There must be a malfunction with this machine, but the experienced test teacher said it wasn't a malfunction. It's because the tester has an extremely high synchronization rate, resulting in the rare brain-computer integration state. Eventually, Yoon Jae-young's test result was 92.89%, a truly astonishing figure. The top student felt his cheeks burning, recalling his earlier taunt. Realizing he was the actual joker, Yoon Jae-young then casually removed the device. Only 92%? Too bad it didn't reach 100%. Yoon Jae-young's videos amassed over 80 million views, earning him about 14 million in revenue. Now, he could finally pay off his installment plan for the gaming pod early. But as Yoon Jae-young looked at the seaweed rice roll in his hand, he vowed to earn another billion. After all, as long as he caused trouble in the game, the system would reward him with a certain amount of plausibility. Later, he could exchange this for equipment with Satan and Michael, potentially achieving financial freedom before even graduating college. Previously, Yoon Jae-young had caused trouble using the powers of the necromancer Lich Gamer, leading an army of undead soldiers not just to kill the NPC Duke, but also to destroy his domain. This immediately angered the representatives of the Holy Faction, and thus the NPC Pope declared with imperial authority that all evil entities on this land be searched out and judged. When Yoon Jae-young logged into the game, still pondering where to cause trouble next, he unexpectedly received a new server-wide quest. But unlike other players, Yoon Jae-young could choose which faction he wanted to join. After some thought, Yoon Jae-young had already devised a new way to cause chaos. A female player with the ID Black Flame Dragon of Darkness, being the highest level black mage in the entire server, was recognized by the system as the strongest of the evil faction. Thus, the related quest Witch Hunt was generated. Players of the Holy Faction need to judge 50 million evildoers and execute Lich Gamer. It turns out that 1,000 years ago during the Holy Demon War, two factions emerged, the Holy Profession faction and the Evil Profession faction. Members of the two factions were like water and fire, inherently incompatible. Under this game setting, players' antagonistic consciousness was subtly influenced. This led to rampant PK in Arcadia's wilderness, with friction between the two factions always maintaining a balance. One reason was the lack of a pretext for all-out war, and the other was the Pope's prohibition against adventurers piking within towns. However, now, a pretext for all-out war has emerged, and the rules set by the Pope have changed. Town PK will be temporarily allowed, and even the scales of power have tipped towards the side of justice. Not because there are too many players in the Holy Faction, but because the evil faction has yet to see a leader like the Pope emerge. So, the first step in Yoon Jae-young's plan to disrupt the balance was to let the game's scales balance. He envisioned the necromancer Lich Gamer descending upon the Arcadia continent again, but not attached to himself. Thus, Yoon Jae-young sent Satan to find the female player with the ID Black Flame Dragon of Darkness. Her existence was central to all of Yoon Jae-young's schemes. At this moment, she was exhausted and being besieged by a group of paladins. Just as the Holy Sword energy was about to strike her, in a critical moment, Satan deflected all the incoming sword energy with his pinky finger. The leading paladin hesitated and asked, could it be a demon emissary from the demon world acting? This immediately caused Satan, being the Devil King, to surge with a killing intent, and a snot-sized energy ball immediately floated in front of the paladin. The next instant, bone-deep pain swept through the player's body, and with a point from Satan, Hellfire utterly annihilated the paladin. The remaining Holy Profession players felt a chilling terror. As Satan released the dark energy from his hands, the players immediately entered the corruption state. Satan smiled devilishly and said, take a look at your own bodies before you speak. Do you feel like you're about to crack? Sure enough, in the next instant, all the players in front of him disintegrated into pieces and died. Meanwhile, the female player received dozens of pop-ups. You have encountered the oldest darkness. Looking at the small demon in front of her, the female player seemed to realize something and immediately knelt before Satan, because she was certain that the demon lord in front of her was the Lord of Chaos, Yes, Satan himself. Satan was quite surprised by this. The girl quickly explained, after all, I chose the black mage profession. It would be strange if I didn't recognize the Devil King. It's an honor to meet you. Satan, pretending to be profound, said, you're quite likable, girl, but you don't have a bit of muscle. You look so soft. No wonder the holy faction has been suppressing you. I came to you for a reason. Would you like to do something with me? After hearing this, the girl's cheeks flushed, and she said, Lord Satan, please speak freely. Satan, looking down from above, said, as the top black mage in the national server, I want you to become a symbol of evil. The holy side has the Pope, and how can our evil faction be without a witch? As Satan outlined an ancient formation, a contract formation emerged from beneath the girl's feet. Being a black mage herself, she could clearly sense how terrifying the magical power at the other end of the formation was. Satan, with a serious expression, said, Human, I'm placing a big bet on you. I hope you handle this well. The next second, the necromancer Lich Gamer emerged from the formation. A pop-up notification appeared. You have absorbed the essence of the Lich. Congratulations on your job change to Commander of Doom. The Witch Hunt quest was updated, and as a member of the evil faction, you are to eliminate the holy faction's Imperial Pope and occupy the Maroon Empire. But the surprises for the girl didn't stop there. Because she was inhabited by Lich Gamer, her abilities neared those of the strongest NPCs in the game. Such terrifying ability levels had increased her character attributes tenfold, at least, allowing her, already the top player in the national server, to leap to being the top player in the entire server. Following Yoon Jae-young's intention, it wasn't just about balancing the power between good and evil. The game world was still not chaotic enough. Then Satan pulled out a scroll, come, which, from now on, prepare to recite what's written here. But upon seeing the content, the girl's pupils constricted. Satan activated the recording button. I'm starting to record now. As Yoon Jae-young anticipated, the situation in Arcadia unfolded just as he imagined. Players of the holy faction began forming teams to hunt down players of the evil professions, infuriating the evil faction players, causing many to quit the game. Now was the moment the evil faction longed for a hero, so Satan's recording came into play. Thus, the final showdown between good and evil quietly began with the release of Yoon Jae-young's video. The witch declared, as the top black mage in the national server, I speak for all in the evil faction. Currently, evil players are being maliciously killed by paladins, disrupting the balance of the game. Therefore, as the leader of the evil professions, not just as the top-ranked black magic user but as commander of the undead Lich Gamer, I will lead everyone along with the undead army to resist the despicable practices of the Holy Empire. This video was sure to rally a large number of players back to the evil faction. However, Yoon Jae-young never expected that Arcadia's officials would suddenly announce, due to the significant disparity in strength between the evil and holy factions, the 24-hour death penalty for all players of the evil faction is cancelled. This brought all the evil faction players who feared death penalties back into the game. There's the paladin who just killed me. No matter how many times I die now, I will chase you to the ends of hell. But the holy faction did not surrender. They organized support teams and began helping each other, balancing the power between the two sides. Thus, battles occurred non-stop, 24 hours a day, within the Maroon Kingdom. A pop-up notification appeared. Congratulations on intensifying the conflict between the factions of good and evil. The battle of virtue and vice in Arcadia has completely spiraled out of control. Congratulations on earning 63,921 plausibility. Yoon Jae-young didn't feel his actions alone were that influential. It was thanks to the game company canceling the death penalties that he managed to benefit as a bystander. Because the more Yoon Jae-young stirred up trouble, the more plausibility he would earn. Thus, the angelic divine descent was initiated, choosing the character Paladin Cadiel. Before Yoon Jae-young's divine descent, he did his homework, because 1,000 years ago, it was this very paladin who had run Lich Gamer through with a sword and then imprisoned him in the abyss of the demon world for thousands of years, unable to escape. However, the holy sword named the End of Eternity was now firmly in Yoon Jae-young's hands. This was Yoon Jae-young's final method for reaping everything. At this moment, he was neither on the side of good nor evil, but acting as a troll to execute the originator of this quest. Meanwhile, Black Flame Dragon of Darkness was so immersed in her invincibility that she couldn't extricate herself. Behind her, thousands of undead served her command, making her feel as though no one in the world could oppose her. Clearly, the situation had now swung in favor of the evil side. Facing a few minor guards outside the palace, the witch merely had to release a hint of her aura to strike terror into the hearts of her enemies. With thousands of undead pressing forward, screams continually emanated from the palace, until the palace doors were pushed open and the witch stood before the silent, empty throne for a long while. The witch muttered to herself, I can hardly believe it, that I would end up ruling Maroon Kingdom, becoming the first player to annex a nation. Now that I am a queen, how much gold can I extract from Maroon Kingdom? The thought alone is delightful. Just then, the witch was startled by a voice. A young man in a black robe stands at the palace door, and outside, thousands of undead soldiers lie slain by his holy sword. The witch asked cautiously, who goes there? Did you kill the undead at the entrance? In the next next instant, the witch launched a curse arrow speeding towards Yoon Jae-young. Yoon Jae-young immediately revealed a mischievous smile, murmuring a paladin's chant under his breath. The next moment, the sword awakened and burst into dazzling golden light, easily deflecting the demonic arrows. A flicker of alarm crossed the witch's mind, because the holy sword in Yoon Jae-young's hands even made her soul tremble. Yoon Jae-young got to the point. You, having gained the power to disrupt balance and even taken over a country, should be satisfied by now, shouldn't you? The witch panicked. How do you know about these plans? Who are you exactly? Yoon Jae-young's lips curled slightly. You ask who I am? I am your creditor, here to reclaim the power I lent you. Seeing the holy sword in Yoon Jae-young's hands, the Lich gamer inside the witch felt a deep unease. A pop-up notification appeared. You are bound by immense holiness. The end of eternity deems you a subject for judgment. The witch felt nothing but bitterness and disbelief. Enveloped in holy aura, Yoon Jae-young suddenly gave a devilish smile and said, Madam, it's time to end your Cinderella magic. The witch ground her teeth in frustration. I'm the top player on the national server. What right does an unranked newbie like you have to make me afraid? The next instant, a spell for summoning was generated, and the witch attempted to complete the incantation with utmost speed. But the necromancer inside her hurriedly interrupted. Contractor, you must flee as fast as you can, or there will only be one outcome. It turns out that the holy sword in Yoon Jae-young's hands, named the End of Eternity, had once sealed Lich gamer for 1,000 years, but it was already too late for the witch to escape. She might as well fight with all her might. As her incantation ended, 3 intermediate undead were revived and summoned by the formation. Yet Yoon Jae-young remained calm, and the End of Eternity let out a dragon-like roar, releasing a sword beam longer than himself. A pop-up notification appeared. Magic disruption activated, increasing damage against evil attributes by 80%. Yoon Jae-young taunted. What good does it do? My sword beam is long and thick. Come on, pitiful little undead. Your soul should rest now. The next instant, the intermediate undead crumbled under the touch of the holy light. The witch felt the pressure increasing. If such a sword beam hits me, will I meet the same fate? What exactly is this holy sword? Yoon Jae-young wasn't sure either. After all, this is a weapon manifested by the spirit of an angelic divine descent. In the next moment, Yoon Jae-young thrust the witch into the night sky with his sword beam, where the explosion of light from good and evil shone as brightly as the stars and moon together. Envious players around them exclaimed, are we even playing the same game? Players with good eyesight immediately recognized the witch Black Flame Dragon of Darkness, but who was her opponent that they had never seen before? Using the time she was airborne, the witch quickly released a dark magic summon, but the Death Knight that had just begun to emerge was scared back by the light from Yoon Jae-young's holy sword. A pop-up notification appeared. Your summoned creature, Death Knight, shall rest eternally due to the effect of eternal rest. It is impossible to resummon them. The witch thought Yoon Jae-young's holy sword could only restrict a few summons, but she regretted trying again. No matter how many times she summoned, the holy sword melted the undead as efficiently as a magic mirror, killing them within minutes. Without her undead, the necromancer was destined to be defeated. The holy sword was essentially their natural enemy. Yoon Jae-young coldly said, Madam, it's time to wrap this up. At this moment, although Yoon Jae-young was surrounded by holy light, in the eyes of the witch, he was the most evil devil king. The skill Moral Judgment activated. This skill ignores all armor upon hitting and inflicts a 500% damage bonus against foes with evil attributes. The witch received a pop-up notification. The great holiness from the holy sword has encroached upon your body. Lich gamer's soul screams in pain. Fatal damage. You are currently in the state of dying. Before dying, the witch was puzzled. Why are you doing this to me? The witch hunt quest should have ended long ago, and defeating me brings no benefit to the holy side. Yoon Jae-young's lips curled slightly. I was waiting on purpose, and you needed to die after taking over Maroon Kingdom for the final piece of my plan to fall into place. But you don't need to hate me, because your death will lead to happiness for both the holy and evil factions. This is the purpose I have created you for. At that moment, Lich gamer recognized the person before him. Isn't this the player who once borrowed my power? After the swing of the judgment blade, the witch let out a frustrated scream, and Lich gamer's soul was also severely damaged by Yoon Jae-young. A pop-up notification appeared. The pact between Lich gamer and the witch has been forcibly annulled, and the greatest necromancer in history has thus perished. Yoon Jae-young, looking at the holy sword in his hand, remarked, Madam, don't feel too wrong, because from the moment this quest began, your fate was already sealed. In fact, Black Flame Dragon of Darkness felt more regret than resentment. Although all this was illusory, at least she had sat on the throne and experienced unprecedented power, which was enjoyable in its own right. The moment the female player died, Yoon Jae-young ended the angelic divine descent. A pop-up notification appeared. Lich gamer sinks into eternal rest, and the holy faction has also achieved the victory condition for the witch hunt quest. What Yoon Jae-young was now looking forward to was how Arcadia would conclude under these ambiguous circumstances. Soon after, a red conflict pop-up appeared. Both camps have fulfilled winning conditions, and simultaneously, the AI Alice began calculating the final results of the witch hunt quest. The victory condition for the holy faction was to kill 50,000 evil players players, and Lich our gamer. Currently, the Holy Faction had only completed one of these, with over 40,000 kills, but still not fully meeting the requirement. On the other hand, the Evil Faction's objectives were to kill the Pope and occupy Maroon Kingdom, but the Evil Faction only completed the occupation without killing the Pope. In terms of completion, the Holy Faction's score could reach 96%, but since both sides only fulfilled one condition each, the final result could only be one. Thus, a server-wide announcement was made: the Holy Faction and the Evil Faction are tied. This caused quite a stir among players of the Holy Faction. Then a pop-up notification appeared: the Holy Faction will distribute rewards based on user contribution, and the trigger rate for hidden professions in the Holy Faction will increase. However, because the witch had occupied Maroon Kingdom, for the next year, Maroon Kingdom cannot be targeted for war. This means that Maroon Kingdom is now the main base for players of evil professions. The final pop-up notification read: Prelude, a Forgotten Darkness Brewing. Related quest witch hunt has ended. The laws of Arcadia continent are reactivated, prohibiting indiscriminate PK between good and evil. The game developers wanted to drag Yoon Jae-young out for a beating, as he was the mastermind behind these events. At this moment, he was enjoying the rewards that belonged only to him. A pop-up notification appeared: congratulations to the host for achieving a legendary achievement, overturning the situation on Arcadia's second continent and balancing the scales of good and evil. Congratulations on earning 210,000 plausibility points. And this was how Yoon Jae-young's troll profession became stronger. He was really looking forward to seeing what fun events would happen next. Just then, another pop-up notification appeared: second phase of the profession quest has ended, special conditions met, distributing special rewards for the Bard of Anarchy profession, beginning assessment of player contributions. The next instant, Yoon Jae-young jumped up from the throne, startled. This reward really solves my urgent need. A pop-up notification read: congratulations on acquiring the skill Bestow Plausibility. You can grant plausibility to non-living objects to change their causality. Does this mean I can directly use plausibility to enhance a weapon that newbies can equip, then take it to be auctioned as a relic? He immediately took out his newbie gear, Rusty Iron Sword. This was a weapon made for newbies, with a pitifully low single-digit attack power. Satan and Mikhail teased: Master, are you reminiscing about the hard times? Yoon Jae-young then raised the rusty sword and activated the skill Bestow. The next instant, a golden light filled with causality burst forth from the sword. A game pop-up notification appeared: reviewed the item's characteristics and history. Enhancement requires 9,000 plausibility. 9,000 is equivalent to the price of obtaining an epic weapon. Yoon Jae-young decisively chose yes. After all, curiosity overcame his thriftiness. I hope the enhancement doesn't disappoint me. A pop-up notification appeared: plausibility successfully bestowed. The rusty sword's settings have been altered. The next second, the rusty sword emitted a mournful wail, and images of Yoon Jae-young using the rusty sword to slaughter newbies in the past suddenly surfaced on the blade. A pop-up notification appeared: rusty sword enhancement complete, becoming the first unique attribute equipment in the server. Congratulations on acquiring the new equipment Bloodsucker. Attack power increased by 5,000%, durability increased by 100,000%, and it has gained incredible traits like Bloodthirsty and Berserk. The only thing that hasn't changed much is its appearance. Yoon Jae-young thought to himself, if even newbie equipment can be so overpowered, then he eagerly opened his storage and took out the Den Destroyer previously used for mining. Yoon Jae-young mused to himself, what would happen if this epic level equipment were enhanced? Could the mining efficiency also increase by hundreds of times? Yoon Jae-young hastily bestowed it with plausibility, but the result was obvious: the enhancement failed. The reason was that the item had no characteristics or history. Yoon Jae-young realized the rusty sword could be enhanced because I used it to slaughter tens of thousands of new players. The Den Destroyer even mined angelic ores. The only difference I can think of is that the object for enhancement needs to have caused direct impact in Arcadia. When Satan heard Yoon Jae-young spent 9,000 plausibility to upgrade junk equipment and then planned to sell it, he felt a twinge of pain. Satan complained, Master, if you need gold, just tell us. I'd exchange 1 gold for a point of plausibility. 9,000 plausibility could nearly get 100 million in the real world. Yoon Jae-young looked disdainful. I receive dividends from Baroness Mikhail every month, plus the money I make as a gaming blogger. I've already achieved financial freedom. But what puzzled Satan was, since you created Bloodsucker, why don't you use it yourself? Yoon Jae-young had considered using the weapon himself, but what kind of interesting events might occur if this weapon appeared in Arcadia's auction house? So, why not put it up for auction and see what happens? The moment Bloodsucker appeared in the auction, players across Arcadia went wild. In the real world, some people were willing to sell their houses and divorce to buy it, others sold their companies to raise money, and some guilds bet all their funds to secure it. Overnight, a newbie weapon was frantically bid on, and the price skyrocketed to over 5,000 gold coins. In the game, equipment is categorized into 6 levels: common, rare, uncommon, epic, legendary, and finally mythological. But unique level equipment hasn't even been released by the design team yet. Could this be a system bug? Thus, the officials stepped in righteously, forcibly stopping the bidding for Bloodsucker and even treating the item as a bug for recall. Naturally, customer service was flooded with inquiries from a multitude of players, but the Arcadia operations team had to prevent equipment that could disrupt game balance from surfacing. Afterward, wherever players gathered in the game, someone would mention this equipment. Yet for some, more conspicuous than the unique label was the ID of the auctioneer, Dex. Could this Dex be the same one? The genius sports player who retired, who played against professional players as if he were leading children. After all, he is the one who created the Legend of God Descends 1v5, a knight who became a myth for casual players. But for some, he is a question mark, and for some professional players, he is an archenemy. Thus, the news that Dex was playing Arcadia spread. However, Yoon Jae-young was understandably upset about having a unique level item confiscated out of the blue. But Yoon Jae-young was too composed. Upon reflection, he considered that the performance of the equipment wasn't outrageously overpowered. Could it be interpreted that the game officials were deliberately targeting him? Yet they couldn't trace his real identity. Even exposing his ID didn't help them trace him. They couldn't even call him, so they chose to recall the equipment, an extreme measure. It's likely they wanted him to contact them proactively. Even if his ID is exposed in the future, they can't track him down, nor can they take any coercive measures against him personally. Could this also be a power possessed by the hidden profession Bard of Anarchy to blatantly cause chaos without game operators being able to intervene? After all, if Bloodsucker is gone, he could just make another, but this proves that his personal safety is secure, and he won't have any worries about causing trouble in the future. Just as Yoon Jae-young had guessed, the order to confiscate the equipment came from the National Server's operations director, because the form of the sword was exactly the same as the one used by the rookie slaying demon in the past. At the time, even with the minister's authority, they couldn't find his user information. This time, they also couldn't find out who this Dex was. Surely there must be some connection. The operations director gritted his teeth. I refuse to believe this kid won't slip up. Dex, every move you make is within my grasp. As a result, the director worked overtime in the customer service department for an entire week, nearly collapsing from exhaustion, but Yoon Jae-young never called. The director fumed. Damn it, Dex really knows how to keep his cool. So, the director reported the matter to the higher-ups, to President Lee Mayan. The director pleaded, you must see justice done for me. Then, the usually icy Lee Mayan suddenly smiled. Alright, it's unfair to corner someone like that. Let's strike back. I remember director Kwon Myung-han once proposed a game event. Yes, that one you're thinking of. Get ready, we can start it tomorrow. Sure enough, the old-fashioned event was called A Fair Strike for All, the Great Bamboo Spear Battle. Arcadia issued a server-wide announcement for this event. The rules of the Bamboo Spear Battle were as simple as its name, regardless of player level. One poke meant death. Players' only weapon was a bamboo spear, and while they could use skills, only the bamboo spear could deal damage. Only the last surviving player could win. Yoon Jae-young knew right away that this event was organized for him, because they only knew there was someone named Dex, but they didn't know this user's game IP or appearance. Of course, the final survivor could choose any piece of equipment from those they had defeated, and the officials would provide an identical copy as a reward. Yoon Jae-young smirked. This event is too interesting to ignore. Bring it on. Let's see how I'll disrupt your game this time. In the first phase of the bamboo spear battle, players just had to survive among 3,292,671 participants until only 1,000 remained. Then the event would move to the second phase. As soon as the game started, it was a massacre, with everyone desperately fighting each other. A level 25 player, after sneakily assassinating a level 100 expert and smugly popping champagne, died the next second from someone else's bamboo spear. Some players blindly slaughtered to satisfy their desires, while others used sheer power to start forming their own teams. Meanwhile, the main character Yoon Jae-young was lurking in a corner, quietly preparing to cheat. After confirming with Satan that divine descent was available, Yoon Jae-young immediately initiated the summoning of a heroic spirit. This time, his choice for divine descent was called Haunting Twilight. In this bamboo spear battle, players' greatest fear is the penetrating bamboo spears. Yet Haunting Twilight can be immune to all physical attacks. At this moment, a player who tried to sneak attack Yoon Jae-young malfunctioned mentally because the attack was ineffective. Yoon Jae-young turned his head with a slight smirk. Didn't you get it? You can't hit me. With a thrust of the bamboo spear, the attacker was already eliminated. Yoon Jae-young knew well that the key to this event was to survive discreetly. If there are no witnesses, doesn't it mean being unnoticeable? Then quickly eliminate the weak players. Players with leadership skills began forming bamboo spear reform groups, ostensibly to punish those who abused the bamboo spear, but in reality, it was to survive. Yoon Jae-young scoffed at this. It's a big forest with all sorts of birds. At the leader's command, the whole group charged towards Yoon Jae-young alone. But Yoon Jae-young was not afraid, and the enemies poked him hundreds of times without causing any damage. Yoon Jae-young sneered with a hint of mockery. My passive skill completely ignores physical attacks when I'm in a non-combat state. In the next instant, Yoon Jae-young achieved the legendary 4 breaks per second. The leader was stunned stunned. What is this guy's game synchronization rate? Yoon Jae-young coldly said. Next, it's your turn. Break for me. Break. With the extreme speed enhancement, the bamboo spear instantly penetrated. In just 3 seconds, the newly formed bamboo spear reform group was disbanded on the spot. Yoon Jae-young, undefeated and lonely, hoped to encounter a skilled opponent. Otherwise, the game would be too boring. At this moment, a pop-up notification appeared. You have defeated 1,000 players, and the number of players still surviving has now reached 2,813. In the previous hour, hundreds of thousands could be eliminated, but since the small fries started banding together, the number has decreased slowly. Yoon Jae-young mused to himself, it seems I have to pull them out one by one. Just then, Yoon Jae-young heard a girl scream beside him. The next second, the girl, unable to stop herself, crashed directly into Yoon Jae-young's body. The two merged at that moment. It turned out the girl was being chased by the second-ranked mage in the national server. Starlight Witch said arrogantly, since you've survived this long, it means you're special. I hope you won't interfere in a matter between girls. Yoon Jae-young pondered for a moment, seeming to understand, but faced with the redhead girl's plea for protection, Yoon Jae-young turned to leave. Yoon Jae-young said coldly, Madam, I am under no obligation to help you, especially since the other party is the second-ranked mage in the national server. Engaging her now brings me no benefit. Just as Yoon Jae-young was about to leave, a pop-up notification appeared, mission update. After reading the content, Yoon Jae-young felt like cursing. At this moment, Starlight Witch is gradually closing in on the girl. Just as the girl is prepared to accept her death, about to be pierced by a bamboo spear, Yoon Jae-young still teleports to block the fatal strike for the girl. Starlight Witch, puzzled, said, weren't you about to leave? Yoon Jae-young gritted his teeth. How was I to know such a damn quest would appear, forcing me to protect such a foolish person? It turned out Yoon Jae-young had received the third phase of his hidden profession quest. As the influence of helper expands, you need to recruit future helpers. Whenever you encounter players marked with a specific symbol above their heads, the plausibility you are responsible for will differ, and she is the one you need to recruit. Clearly, the redhead girl had this symbol above her head. It turned out the girl was an apprentice of the Grand Sorcerer of Starmoon. The Grand Sorcerer had created Starlight Magic and Moonlight Magic, and the inheritor of the Starlight Magic was the current second-ranked Starlight Witch Stella, and the inheritor of Moonlight Magic was naturally the redhead girl, Angelina. This was the gift left by the Grand Sorcerer before his long journey. If the two magic books were combined, one could become a great sorcerer surpassing human limits. But for Angelina, this opportunity was not just a chance to become stronger, but a curse that she would struggle to escape from her entire life. So that's why the chase just now happened. The resolute Yoon Jae-young demanded that Stella unconditionally let her go. Starlight Witch Stella frowned. What if I say I'm not willing? Yoon Jae-young revealed a sinister smile. Then, let's fight. I'll have to eliminate you to protect her. Stella immediately pulled out her magic wand. With just your newbie equipment, you think you can? As Stella chanted, the spell Chain Lightning was launched. Yoon Jae-young couldn't dodge in time. It turned out to be a spell combining the effects of slow, stun, and weakness. Following that, Stella unleashed Fire Bolt, Magic Hold, Entangle, and Wind Cutter for spells not very powerful but with negative effects, one after another. Yoon Jae-young, while immune to physical attacks, couldn't block the negative effects, but he endured them, and he had another purpose in doing so. Yoon Jae-young muttered, damn, my vision is blurring, until Starlight Stella approached him. In her eyes, Yoon Jae-young appeared like a lamb to the slaughter, but in Yoon Jae-young's eyes, Stella was the lamb. Just as the bamboo spear was about to pierce Yoon Jae-young, a pop-up notification appeared. You cannot attack this target. Stella's pupils dilated, and the next second, she felt a sharp pain in her abdomen. Yoon Jae-young completed a counterkill on the second-ranked mage in the national server. You were doomed to fail from the start of this battle, and I am immune to all physical attacks. Before dying, Stella spat out resentful words, but still died at the hands of Yoon Jae-young. The redhead girl was dumbfounded. What kind of monster is this guy? Then, Angelina ran over to Yoon Jae-young and bowed at 90 degrees to express her gratitude. After 3 minutes of explanation, Angelina finished telling Yoon Jae-young about her feud with Stella. Yoon Jae-young asked, so, what are your plans for the future? Days of being hunted by the second-ranked mage in the server don't sound pleasant. Upon asking, he learned that the girl was currently level 43. Considering the strongest player in the server was already beyond level 100, level 43 was relatively low. Yet, despite being level 43, Angelina was still wearing level 15 newbie gear. The girl stuttered, because I've been running away. I'm really short on money, so I couldn't afford better gear. But then, Yoon Jae-young had an idea. Don't I have the Bestow Plausibility skill? And since she's the helper selected for my hidden profession, maybe I really can. Excited, Yoon Jae-young leaned in close to the girl. Quick, take off all your gear and give it to me. The level 15 newbie gear, once enhanced by Yoon Jae-young using the Bestow Plausibility skill, instantly transformed into the server-wide unique level Newb Divine set. The terrifying addition of the unique level set wasn't in casting high-level magic, but in allowing the mage to use level 1 spells indefinitely, because the unique level set reduced the mana cost of level 1 spells by 99%, and a unique level magical staff allowed the character to cast spells instantly without chanting. Just then, two unobservant players attacked, and Yoon Jae-young chuckled. "Angelina, let's leave these two mobs to you. A good test for the equipment's performance." The two players were furious and leaped towards Angelina. A pop-up notification appeared. "Your suit's special effect has been activated." The barrier that normally took 2 seconds of chanting appeared in the blink of an eye, but the defense of level 1 magic was too weak. Having no choice, the girl cast over 20 barriers in 1 second, originally for defense, but she used them for repulsion instead. The weakness of the Newb Divine set was its lack of damage. As long as she didn't face high-level players, even if outnumbered, Angelina didn't need to worry, because with just level 1 magic missiles, she could cast about 180 in a second. Then, condensing 100 magic missiles and releasing them, the resulting explosion is powerful enough to instantly kill any mid-level player. After killing the two clowns with the bamboo spear, a pop-up notification appeared just in time. 1,000 survivors remain. The first round of the bamboo spear battle has ended. What Yoon Jae-young didn't know was that today marked the birth of the future PvP maniac, Angelina. At this point, the advantage of having a helper was already evident. With Angelina's participation, her performance in the game could also help Yoon Jae-young acquire plausibility. The remaining 1,000 players were all teleported back to the starting plaza. At that moment, the referee announced the new rules for the second round. Due to the discovery of players with immunity to physical damage in the first round, hits by bamboo spears will now also be considered as magical damage. This meant that Yoon Jae-young's absolute defense could no longer block the bamboo spears, clearly showing that the officials were targeting him. But Yoon Jae-young laughed out loud upon hearing this. "Satan, it's my turn to revel now." Then, the referee added another new rule. To balance the bamboo spear battle, players' equipment will be disabled, meaning the newly enhanced Newb Divine set was now useless. With such challenging conditions, how would Yoon Jae-young dominate the field? However, starting now, poison gas would spread from the perimeter of the map to the central area, moving at the speed of a running human. The referee announced the start of the second round of the bamboo spear battle. "Please keep moving, don't stop." Yet, at this moment, Yoon Jae-young detected a new loophole in the second round. He also suggested that he and Angelina split up. Angelina initially thought she was being used again, but Yoon Jae-young realistically explained, "If I were going to abandon you now, I wouldn't have saved you in the first place. However, I'm pleased to have become partners with you, Angelina." Yoon Jae-young gently touched Angelina's head. "If possible, we'll meet in the third round, because my actions this time might not guarantee your safety. So, goodbye, Angelina." Then Yoon Jae-young turned around and initiated another divine descent. "Come forth, Poison King Azekar." As the name suggests, his ability is extreme poison resistance, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say he's immune to all poisons. At the moment of divine descent, Yoon Jae-young even began to feel an affinity for toxicity. Yoon Jae-young muttered to himself, "The intent of the second round of the bamboo spear battle is to push us towards areas without poison gas. But they didn't say we couldn't do the opposite. Players fear the consequences of the poison, which will only lead them to congregate in the center of the map. Once 1,000 people are consumed by the poison gas, I can reap the benefits." A pop-up notification appeared. "You have entered a toxic area." The next second, the passive skill immune to all poisons activated. A special skill blood toxicity emerged and activated. You can absorb the surrounding poison gas into your blood. As Yoon Jae-young predicted, this level of poison gas was trivial compared to the Poison King. Yoon Jae-young spared no expense and plausibility to use divine descent twice, all for the reward of becoming the champion. At the center of the map, as the safe zone shrunk, a fierce battle inevitably broke out. Amidst a barrage of countless skills, a supreme champion emerged. Her ID name was Cassius. At this moment, 4 players in the central area decided to team up against her, but she was not at all flustered. She used her bamboo spear as if it were a sword, employing game sword skills not limited to character abilities, but also her own creative maneuvers. In this competition, only the bamboo spear could deliver a fatal blow. At that moment, she was targeted by a hidden archer, but her keen insight allowed her to maneuver her character to dodge in time. Remember, the archer was hiding 800 meters away. Cassius even pinpointed the archer's location in the blink of an eye and swiftly reached where the archer was. She leaped up, using the bamboo spear as a long spear, and before the archer could react, it was over. But what troubled Cassius was that despite her dizzying maneuvers, that guy still hadn't shown up. Cassius called out impatiently, "Dex, where exactly are you hiding?" Because at this moment, only 2 players remained in the second round of the bamboo spear battle. A pop-up notification appeared. The second round of the bamboo spear battle has ended, and the third round will be a 1v1 final showdown. Yet Yoon Jae-young was still lurking in the toxic area and hadn't come out. But the poison gas continued to shrink. As long as he stayed long enough, he would be the only one left. The thought of effortlessly picking up the reward made him quite pleased. At this moment, Yoon Jae-young was being targeted by the head of scenario planning. Players couldn't withstand the poison gas. Even level 200 players were affected and lost health. Yet Yoon Jae-young remained completely unaffected for a whole 30 minutes. The director's eyes bulged with rage. At this rate, he's guaranteed to win. He immediately used his level 3 administrative privileges to access the game's AI, Alice. A pop-up notification appeared, successfully escalated the poison fog to the highest level, and poison resistance skills have been nullified. However, Director Kwon Mingan's use of administrative rights against a player will be met with penalties, including a salary cut, fewer vacations, and a meeting with the chairman. Considering the penalties light, Kwon Minghan decisively chose, "I am willing to accept all punishments." Sure enough, Yoon Jae-young also received a notification about the poison fog change. It was clearly a direct target from the officials. Even Satan was panicked by the potency of the poison. Even the Poison King himself would struggle to resist this. Yoon Jae-young looked at the ID of the other survivor and was not surprised at all. One was himself and the other was named Cassius, clearly also targeting him. The ID was exactly the same as that time, only it was uncertain if she would be even more formidable in this game of Arcadia.